Shabbat shalom. Oh no, that's not gonna be good. I was hearing the voice of my own ghost. I did not like it. When it's time, we'll call you forward. Okay. Yes. Can I have my egg? I don't hand it to you. It's fine. In this room? Good. I tested it already. Oh, Shabbat shalom. Hey. We have decided to be in this space tonight, this cozy space where we haven't been for a little while on a Friday night, because 150 of our preschool families of our community is here tonight, all having dinner together, and we had a big service with their family and their extended family. It was really lovely. Oh, that is going to drive me absolutely bonkers.
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
You're good.
Oh, I don't like to hear it myself. Shabbat shalom. Almost Shabbat shalom. Rabbi.
All right, so we begin. Shalom Aleichem. You can find it on page 24.
Yeah. It's like a whole nother dynamic in this room. So breathe it in. Shalom Aleichem. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Melachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu,
The Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom. Let's say shalom. Say
Shalom. Malachei Shalom. Clap your hands with us.
Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei
Shalom.
Malachei Elyon, Malachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So I want to welcome everybody. My son Lev has recently gotten into basketball. And it's interesting because I can't tell whether he loves basketball or he loves the scores and the statistics and all of that, but he's starting to discover numbers. And so this morning we asked Alexa how many, basically what was the score of the games? And he hears that the Milwaukee Bucks lose to the Boston Celtics 99-140. And which, by the way, Alexa, I guess as part of her algorithm, will say blowout and destroyed if it's very large numbers. But he turns to me and he's surprised because the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. It was actually supposed to be a close game. They are not supposed to lose by 41 points. So he looks at me and he says, I guess they're not as good as I thought that they were. And I look at him and I say to him, well, look, people have bad days. Teams have bad days. It doesn't mean that there's anything necessarily wrong with that team. And the truth is they have the ability to start over. Next game, they can always do it again. And I was thinking in preparation for Shabbat that kind of is a metaphor for many of our weeks, right? Many of our weeks, we feel destroyed. We feel blown out. We feel like we are completely leveled by something that happens.
Limping to the finish line.
Limping to the finish line. The truth is, every one of us in the same way has the ability to start over, the ability to try again, the ability to do better. And so I really want to encourage us to think about Shabbat as a way to start over, as an understanding that whether this past week was a good game or a bad game, we always have the ability to play that game again and again and again. And so I'll invite us, as we see that candles, to see it as a restart, knowing that we get another try. Now, we're not just going to light our candles tonight on our own, because Sam and Audrey are going to be called up to the Torah as B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow for the very first time. And so in honor of that, I want to call them to be joined by their parents and their sister as we prepare to light our candles and bless our wine.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
We move forward. We're on page number 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava v'ratzon hinilanu. Zikaron say Reshit Ihu Yom Tehila Lemika E Kodesh Lemika Mitra Anu Kidasha Nikol.
That's it. Go for it. This is great juice, by the way. All right, so you guys can take a seat. Shabbat Shalom. We're on page 20 as we join together in the words of L'chadodi. Dodi, likrat likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela.
Nekabela, lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pene pene
Shabbat
nekabela. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמענו אל המיוחד. לשם תפארת ולתחילה, דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה, לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו וללכה, כי היא מקום
ראש מקדם יסוכה, שומעת במשך חילה, לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה,
בני בני קלה, בני בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5, התעוררי, 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 כי באור ומיורי, שתערי, גבעת אדוני, לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. בואי שלום תרבלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. Here we go again. לך 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 דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. Once more. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת קלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing, page 28, as we turn toward our eastern windows.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. Baruch Adonai, together. Baruch Hamevorach Leolam את אדוני המבורך. ברוך לעולם. ברוך לעולם. You can see it. We'll do this last one on La La La.
On page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
Amen.
Page 32.
Breathing in the love that is there for us.
עמך אהבך תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת عليكنا أدونai אלוהינו בשוכבנו וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך להודות למחיינו בעורף ימינו ובהם נגד בלילה נגד יומם בלילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל.
So we just take a moment to notice what happens when we just orient inward for a few breaths. Breathing in and releasing out. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, and even more deeply listening.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai.
ואהבת
את אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל
Page
מאודך.
36.
והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי בצווך היום ושיננתם לבניך
ודיברת
בעם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ושוכבך בקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לתוצפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשערי למען תזכרו ועשיתם את מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני We're on page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together, page 40.
Ya ira 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 ya la la ya ira 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 la 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 ya la la ya ira ira ya la ya mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Join us. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha nora tekirot osefele nora tekirot osefele malihudika ukeya זה אלי אנוביאן ואמרו אדוני ימלוא לעולם הארץ אדוני ימלוא לעולם הארץ. One more time on ya la 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 ya ida 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 ra 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 ya la 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 ya 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 la la ונאמר יפדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Shkivenu, page 42.
שיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמידנו שומרים חיים. שיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמידנו שומרים חיים. ושורשתנו בואנו שלום. Sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing and I pray. And I pray, don't take me soon, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears, but I never let it get me all the way down. So when negativity surrounds me, I know someday it'll all turn. Because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more. Our children will play one day.
One day,
One day,
one day,
one day. One day,
one day,
one day, one day, this day, one day, one day.
Shkivenu Adonai Eloheinu
Eloheinu
Shalom Shalom.
ברוך אתה אדוני, בורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
We're on page 44, bottom of that page, Yismachu.
ישמחו במלאכתיך, שומרי 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 שבת קורא, עוד שבת. ישמחו במלאכתיך, שומרי 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 שבת קורא, עוד שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישמחו ויתנו מצוות השבת, ישמחו במלאכתיך, שומרי 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 שבת קורא, עוד שבת. ישמחו במלאכתיך, שומרי 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 שבת קורא, עוד שבת. והשביל רצית בו בקדשו שבת, למדוד קראת שבת, ישמחו במלאכתיך, שומרי שבת קורא, עוד שבת. ישמחו במלאכתיך, שומרי 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 שבת קורא, עוד שבת. למעשה בראשית שבת, למעשה בראשית שבת, ישמחו במלאכתיך, שומרי 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 שבת קורא, עוד שבת. ישמחו במלאכתיך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקורא עונג שבת, עונג שבת.
On page 46, and we rise together. And after this opening meditation, we move in silence through page 62, and you can be seated when you're finished.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Together. And giving yourself even another chance to lift up those prayers that are even deeper in the cup. Taking another breath in and out. Making just a little more space for Birkat Shalom as a community, for a blessing for peace. No matter what year it seems, I always say, this time we need it more than ever. I'm not lying. We join together, page 64. No, 60. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I meant 60. Shalom Rav. Grant peace to us all, to your people Israel, and to your people forever. Page 60. 60. 60. Shalom Rav. Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav. Tasim leolam. Lechol hashalom ki Shalom Rav Israel tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Israel tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha libarek et zancha Yisrael. B'chol rit ub'shisha b'shlom lecha. Shalom Rav Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam leolam. Tasim leolam leolam. Baruch atah Adonai Baruch Amo Yisrael. Shalom. So before we settle into a more of a listening place, we still lift up one more blessing, the prayer we call the Mishaberach Lecholim. We turn to page 253 and invite those who are in our community here in the room tonight, or who are on YouTube or on Zoom with us, to just call to mind out loud or quietly in your hearts those who are in need of healing. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. And may they get swiftly a complete renewal of body, of soul, spirit. Let us say amen. Avotenu mikor habracha leipotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach אבותינו, מקור הברכה לאבותינו, bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. So for those who are virtual, I saw that the sound was going in and out. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay right at this point. All right. So it might be we're just overloading because we've got a different computer because it's rare that we are in the chapel, but yes. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. One of my hangups about Passover is that we often stop at dinner. We never get really past that point. But what you should know about Passover is that there actually is a narrative flow to the way that Passover works. And we move what's in Hebrew called liganai l'shevach, from degradation to exaltation. The idea is that the beginning of the Passover Seder is meant to remind us of all the kind of yuckiness of being a slave, right? We eat the maror, which is the bitterness. We even have matzah, which is called lechem oni, the bread of affliction. We dip our greens into salt water, which symbolizes the tears of our ancestors. And in doing so, we follow the maxim, lidor vador chayav adam lirot et atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim, that in every single generation, we're supposed to relive, we're supposed to see ourselves as if we were actually slaves in Egypt. And we do actually a pretty good job of that. If we do the Seder right, we're supposed to engender in ourselves a sense of empathy, an understanding of what it was like to be in that position, and an understanding that we should do everything that we can to help other people who are in that position too. The Passover Seder is both extremely particularist and widely universalist. It is about our own experience, and at the same time, it is about making sure that our own experience does not stop with us, but rather we take the lessons of Passover and we apply it to others around us. But all of what I said is actually only up until dinner. That's not the theme of the rest of the Seder. The theme of the rest of the Seder is joy and it is hope. It is joy that we were once slaves and now we are free. And so we eat this festive meal, and in our tradition, we understand ein simcha ela basar v'yayin, there is no joy unless you fill your gut up with some wine and some meat, right? But it's also symbolized by the fact that we sing what's called Hallel, which is a series of psalms, liturgical poems that are meant to be sung on joyous occasions. And we sit around and we bang on the table and we enjoy ourselves. But we often perfunctorily open up that door at the end of our Seder for Elijah without really thinking about what that symbol is. Now, as I was a kid, I used to think that the reason why, and by the way, you can overlay this on top, it's not necessarily that it's wrong, it's just that it's not the original intent, was that I used to open up the door because we would say earlier in the service, let all who are hungry come and eat. And so I would open the door to symbolize the fact that what we're doing in here isn't contained to in here, it's to the outside world too. The only problem with that interpretation is probably we should open the door earlier in the Seder when we say, let all who are hungry come and eat. So then why exactly do we open the door at the end of the Seder? Well, the answer is, Elijah is one of the most important of the themes in all of Judaism because he comes to symbolize the Messiah. Now, many of us have problems with the Messiah, but I got to tell you that I love messianic imagery. Not necessarily because I believe that there is going to be some person who's going to come and suddenly make peace on earth, suddenly make the lion lie down with the lamb, as Isaiah says. But instead, I look at this world so broken around me, and I feel like there's got to be a way out of this brokenness, right? Our tradition understands that we have to look at this world with true eyes. At the end of every wedding, for example, we symbolize the brokenness of the world by taking a glass, putting it on the ground, shattering it, with the understanding that every single couple, through their united love, can move the mountain of the brokenness of this world and literally put those shards back together. And so every time that we invoke the Messiah, I think about not necessarily the person Messiah, but the vision Messiah. And I truly, with perfect faith, as Maimonides said, believe that the messianic age is attainable, that we can, through our united voices, our united hands, and our united hearts, bring about a better world for ourselves. Now, in our tradition, we understand that every one of us can be that agent of change. When we go and we attend a bris or a baby naming, you might notice that one of the very first things that we do is we put out a chair. It's called the chair for Elijah. And by the way, Elijah is supposed to herald the coming of the Messiah, because if you've read the Bible, you see Elijah never actually dies, right? He gets scooped up by this fiery chariot, brought up into the heavens. And so Elijah kind of knows things that we don't know. So we invoke Elijah as this all-knowing to say, okay, you're going to show up and you're going to say on Tuesday, the Messiah is going to come. On Wednesday, the Messiah is going to come. This Passover, the Messiah is going to come. Yes. So we put this chair out on these baby namings and on these brises, and we put the baby on the chair to say, you could be it. Now, do I really believe that every time that I attend a bris, that baby is going to be the Messiah? No. But do I believe that that baby is going to participate in the sacred work of making this world better, of taking the world as it is and turning it into the world that it could or it should be? Absolutely. And I believe all of us have agency to do that too. And I don't believe that it's ever too late to start. And so when at the end of the Seder, we open that door and we welcome Elijah in, what essentially we are saying is that we have hope. We have hope that this is the year that that broken world is going to become better. And we end our Seder by saying, Bashana haba abba Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem, because we hope that we will be in Jerusalem, symbolically or real, celebrating that coming of that better day, that time that could be. Judaism, by the way, is not a religion, and I've spoken about this before, of optimism. It is a religion of hope. We move into our future with eyes wide open, fully seeing the brokenness around us. Optimism says everything is okay. Hope says everything can be okay. And that's totally different. Understanding that sometimes you actually have to walk through some deep darkness in order to get into a better place. And so at times when things do seem darkest, I often feel like I need to call on the Messiah. I need to call on that image to myself, to engender myself, to fill myself up with hope. And so I've been thinking a lot, actually, about the traditional prayer that one says over the state of Israel. Because this traditional prayer over the state of Israel actually speaks distinctly of the Messiah. And by the way, many rabbis you might have read in the forward or in other places have been actually dropping the prayer for the state of Israel because things are just so complicated, right? The prayer for the state of Israel speaks about the fact that we hope that God is going to guide and support the government of Israel. And so what do you do with that when the government of Israel seems to be doing things that are antithetical to what you believe? And by the way, if I lived in Israel or was in Israel, I would be out there with those protesters, those over 850,000 protesters. I'd be walking right next to Rabbi Sharon's daughter, who is profiled in the forward as one of those protesters who is studying abroad in Israel right now, saying to themselves that the values that some of this right-wing government stand for don't stand for what we care about, that we can look for peace. We can advocate for justice for Palestinians. We can hope for true democracy in Israel, and that all is not lost. And in fact, this week made me realize just how much that is true. That the collective voices and action and agency, the strikes in Israel, the closing of the airport in Israel can actually move the needle, can make a difference. That an average Israeli united with other average Israelis can take us from the world as it is to the world that it might be. Israel this week has given me hope. And for that reason, this week, more than any other week, in recent memory, I'm feeling like the beginning of the prayer for the state of Israel speaks to me personally, right? The prayer begins, Avinu Shabbat Shemayim, Sor Yisrael v'Go'ala. Our God who art in heaven, which, by the way, is a Jewish phrase borrowed by Christianity. Sor Yisrael v'Go'ala, the rock of Israel, our Redeemer, our redemption. And then the line that I have often balked at, but that in this time feels especially important to me, is that Israel is called Reshit Smichat Geulatinu, the beginning of the flowering of our redemption. And by the way, every time you hear redemption, think the world as it could be, right? For our ancestors, redemption was the narrowness of slavery moving into the wideness of freedom. The world as it was in bondage in Egypt, moving into the amazing joy of having freedom. But redemption in our tradition isn't just that one period in time. More than anything else, it is the hope of a better tomorrow. And so when that line was envisioned, it was actually envisioned by a rabbi whose name is Rabbi Abraham Isaac Cook. Because in early days in Israel, people would say, wait, what are you doing asking people to move to Israel? What are you doing trying to start a state in Israel? Because, by the way, our Talmud says very clearly, you don't do that until the Messiah comes. And the Messiah is not here. And one of the things that Abraham Isaac Cook said was actually, there is something messianic to the action. If we try and we succeed, it is the beginning of the flowering of a better era, even if it is not the better era itself. Which means that Israel is not an endpoint. Israel is the beginning. Israel is the seeds of our hope, flowering and blossoming into what a Jewish state could be. And just like when a flower is beginning to blossom, there are times when it needs a little bit more love and a little bit more care. There are times when you need to water it a little bit more and bring it out into the sun. And there are even times when it seems precarious. I'm particularly bad at raising up plants. I kill them all the time. Which means that if I'm ever successful, there's usually a time where the leaves start browning, either because I'm over or under watering them, because I have no idea what I'm doing. The truth is, none of us know what we are doing as we kind of navigate this messy world. But what I'm telling you here is that even when times seem precarious, that beginning of the flowering of a better tomorrow exists. Israel, even in its darkest days, is a symbol of hope for us all. And all it matters is that we understand that we are part of that narrative too. We are, as we taught every child at their baby naming and their bris, part of the story of making this world better. Which means that even when we feel like the government in Israel isn't speaking our values, even when we feel like the future in Israel is hopeless, what it means is that we can't abdicate our own role in that story. What it means is that we have to double down on hope. Every one of us can add a little bit more hope to this broken world. And in doing so, you will garner the strength, you will garner the resolve, and you will help other people do it too, to make this broken world better. Every Passover, we move liganai l'shevach, from degradation to exaltation to hope. Hope is greater than joy in that story, which means that even when you don't feel it, know that there is hope to get even further. Shabbat shalom. Yeah, well, you could into the mic because there's,
That every Seder I have ever attended with my family has ended with Hatikva, which means hope. And I never thought about, it was just in our Haggadah, because my grandfather bought a Haggadah probably in 1950 something at the beginning of Israel. And we have said Hatikva at the end of every Seder I've ever attended with my parents and grandparents. And that's exactly why. And I never knew that was exactly why until you just said that. So I'm so thankful for learning that at this moment. And I'm going to remember it more so on Wednesday, Thursday.
thank you. Thank you. And so we actually, there is a prayer that is kind of a hope prayer, which is Aleinu, that it's on us to get to a better tomorrow. And so we're going to rise together. Page 282, Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו בכל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום יהיה אדוני אלוהיך ושמו
Please be seated. We turn to page 294 as our thoughts move toward those who we have loved and who we've lost. As I call the name of your loved ones, I'll invite you to rise and share their names in community. So our community remembers Emmanuel Abraham, Ann Abrams, Max Adelman, Lynn Adler, Kenton Benedict, Harold Berman, Bella Busin, Edith Shabbat. Andrew Cohen, Jacob Cohen, Sani Chaim Daniels, Stan Fader, Sam Feingold, Meyer Fishman, Benno Fittingoff, Dave Fox, Janet Gilberg, Alex Glasser, Rudolph Gross, Sidney Horowitz, Michael Kahn, Aaron Kaplan, Sadie Katz, Leo Kolinsky, Harry Lawrence, Eleanor Levin Trachtenberg, Fanny Malik, Barbara June Menkes, Razel Mishanek, Marvin Neisberg, Sylvia Pimes, Ida Radish, Maurice Rich, Muriel Rifkin, W.T. Rooney, Alma Rose, Jay Lauren, Rosenberg, Ludwig Seaman, Gilda Savitt, Shirley Sayer, Dora Sachs, Dorothy Sugarman, Nona Teichman, John Twires, Carolyn Weikersheimer, Gwen Wurtzel, Julia Yassin, Stephen Zeisel, and Yitzchak Zimperspitz. And those who are in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning: William Lawyer, father of Liam Lawyer; Charles Sonneborn, father of Susie Sonneborn; Paul Stenke, father of David Stenke; and Beth Owens, mother of Steph Lurie. In addition, I'll invite you to rise and say the name of anyone who may not have been on this list for whom you're observing a yard site, or someone who you are within your 1 year period of mourning for. Again, we turn to page 294 and we rise together for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shebei rabbah, v'yamad tifrach yirtzeh v'yamlech malchuteh, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayetecho beit Yisrael, b'gala uv'yizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach li'olam olmei almaya, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzalal shemei kudusha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Damiram b'yama v'imru amen. Yehi shalom araba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Please be seated. So a few announcements. First is Passover is upon us, which means there's still time. 7 o'clock. Actually, we're past it, but it's okay. We're supposed to let the caterer know by 7 o'clock tonight when well, basically how many people we are having in our second night Seder. But if you sign up by tonight, I'm sure it's fine. So if you want to join us, just make sure to sign up by tonight for our second night Seder. We would love to see you there. In addition to that, our Passover schedule is as follows. So we've got 10 a.m. festival services on the first day of Pesach, which is Tuesday morning.
More Hallel.
Thursday morning. Thank you. And on the 8th day of Pesach, which is also Thursday morning, and that's going to be joined by Yisker. And then on Thursday night, we have what is now our second annual, though we won't be able to do it for very long because of the way the calendar works, for maybe one more year, if that. We are going to be joining with our Muslim colleagues. Peace Island Institute is the name of the organization, because it is not only the end of Passover, it is also Ramadan. And so we're going to be having an iftar break fast with them, and we're going to break with lots of bread because it's the end of Passover. And so we're going to break Passover together as a community, breaking with them. We're breaking their night of fasting. In addition to that, look on your calendar for 2 other events. You may not realize it, but our busy season actually starts on Passover, because Passover kicks off at the end of Passover a week later. It's Yom HaShoah, it's Holocaust Remembrance Day. And then a week after that is Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel Independence Day. And we're actually going to have a really cool program for Israel Independence Day, because we've got a jazz musician from Israel who's coming in to talk about his Jewish and Israeli influences on his jazz.
Really gifted musician.
Yeah, it's really
And their
cool.
storytelling.
And he's gonna talk about kind of his Israelness and his jazzness and mixed together. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Do you want to say a word about
Love to Yom HaShoah Gvura, which is we do as an interfaith experience, Yom HaShoah service, memorial service, and we always get to hear words, fortunately, from someone who has survived the Shoah. This year is no different. We'll be hearing from a woman who actually grew up much of her life in New Jersey, but was a young child, as an incredible story or experience of survival. And we have, as usual, our interfaith choir. So if you would like to join us and sing, no rehearsals really, you just come that night an hour and a half early and we get you going. So just feel free to talk to me. It's at the Friends Quaker House, which is on Park Street. And just a week or so later is another interfaith choir opportunity for the Interfaith Choir Festival. Also talk to me about that, please.
Yes. So we got lots and lots of programs. There's even more on your eGarret, so
There
make
is
sure to read
even
it.
more.
Yes. And we are going to conclude.
We're going to
Adon Olam.
conclude with Adon Olam, another prayer of a lot of hopefulness that we will be held. You've got us. Page 321. And how great was the band tonight?
Yes. By the way, when I met with Cantor earlier in the week, she was like, I think we got a small crew, maybe 3 of them. I don't know who your original 3 emails were, but thank you to so many of you for coming.
Steph, Don, Dave. I'd have been it until yesterday.
I walked in and I saw the full band. I was like, whoa, this is great.
Adon Olam asher bara b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'nasa b'chasoko azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'nasa b'chasoko azai melech shemo nikra ואחרי
תכלת הכל, לבדו ימלוך עליו. והוא היה, והוא עובד, והוא יהיה נפרד.
Let's hear you. Adonai.
אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא. אלך נסע וחצור וחצות כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. והוא אחד, והוא אחד, בית שלי להמשילו, להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולעם משרד עולם מעל עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל נברא נסע חצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. והוא אלי, והוא אלי, וחי גואלי, וצורכי בי וצרה, והוא ניסי ומלך לי, כוסי בי אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לנסות לאזי מלך שמו נקרא. last verse. בידו עד כתבוכי
ותשען
אדוני לי ולא יירא אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לבשר אזי מלך שמו נקרא. Giant A.
We couldn't say goodnight to you without a little, just a taste. Can I have an A chord?
Ilu
Oceanu, Oceanu,
Just one verse.
Oceanu.
Yanu mi Mitzrayim daye, dayenu, dayenu, dayenu.
You have to come back on Thursday for the rest of it.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat shalom
everyone.
and Chag Sameach.
Our oneg is right in the back. Make sure to introduce yourself to someone new. And see you tomorrow morning at the B'nai Mitzvah. I didn't announce that. See you then.